So the one thing I always look for when hiring is what they're like outside of work, because humans will just naturally regress to their mean. So what I'm trying to do is figure out like what do they do in their weekend, what do they do in their social life, and then I watched one of Bram Connolly's podcasts on YouTube. He's actually my leadership and strategy coach. Before I started working with him, I binge watched a bunch of his YouTube videos just to, obviously do my due diligence. And he said something, and I went, "Oh, like that's such a no-brainer." And it's that old quote, which is you're the sum of the five people that you hang out with, which is very true in my experience. And I'm sure you'd probably agree as well. And so when I'm interviewing people, well, firstly, what I'll talk about is our process to get a job here. So typically, regardless of if it's ad specialist or if it's a sales rep, which admittedly are pretty much the only two roles here, it's skills assessment first and then culture fit. So skills assessment is simply before we figure out if we like you as a person or not, I just want to know that you know how to do the job. And so if they're a sales rep, they'll do a mock call with the sales manager. If they're an ad specialist, or at least applying to be an ad specialist, they'll do a skills assessment with Patsy or Kira to make sure they know what buttons to press, rewriting ads, giving feedback on landing pages and stuff like that. That way it gives us a pretty objective measure of how much training does this person need, or do we just need to train them on our ways of doing things. And then we do a culture fit assessment, and all I'm doing on that culture fit assessment is trying to figure out what they're like outside of work, because I can pretty much just safely assume they'll eventually regress to that. And previous behavior is very, very indicative of future behavior. Not all the time, people change over time, but like I don't behave the way that I did 5 years ago. Like I don't drink anymore, stuff like that. But we're trying to figure out like where is their average, because obviously when someone's doing a culture fit assessment with you or they're doing an interview, like they kind of know the answers to the questions. It's like, yeah, I'm hardworking and I know what I'm doing and I'm not a dick. So what you want to work out is, firstly, what are their friends like? So do their friends like going out and partying a lot? Because that means they're probably just going to be like hungover on Monday a couple of times, or they're less disciplined, they're less hardworking. Like I'm kind of known for always saying just hire sales reps that train a martial art. And I say it half jokingly, but it's always turned out to be true. Like all of Tim being an exception, because Tim doesn't, he goes to the gym though, but pretty much all of my sales reps either train a martial art or like Tiffany's a competitive bodybuilder, because that means that outside of work, like when they're off the clock, they're already working on something uncomfortable. They're disciplined enough to pursue something that is, in martial arts instance, sometimes painful and uncomfortable. They're coachable as well. And so all of those traits and attributes will carry over into work. Whereas another example is just like Patsy is one of our like most popular ad specialists with the members. And prior to working with us, she was a Pilates instructor, like really into the gym. Even her sister, Izzy, like she does a lot of running. And so I actually look for them doing like physically uncomfortable things outside of work. That's a very, very big green flag for us. And then also what their friends are like. So are their friends also doing this, or, are they just fucking partying and stuff like that? I got an email from Shay, who's our bookkeeper, and she's kind of like kind of HR at the moment as well. She always has kind of been. And we were hiring for this role. I think it was like head of talent acquisition. And one of my questions that we do in the email screening is, what do you do in your spare time? And the person responded saying they play guitar and they hang out with friends and family. And because of that, I said no. And then Shay asked me, she's like, what, are they not allowed to hang out with friends and family? I went, no, they are. It's just, if that is all that you have to talk about for your life, is I do the exact same thing as literally everyone else. You're like dead center in the middle of the bell curve. Like I want you to talk about something that indicates that you're a little bit right of median, right? Everyone hangs out with their friends and family. Like if you ask someone, like anyone, what they do, they'll mention, yeah, I hang out with friends and family. Like, yeah, no shit. I want you to mention, like, yeah, I go to the gym, I train, I go running, I work on this, I work on that. Just so I know there's some indication that all you have to talk about yourself isn't, I'm exactly the same as everyone else.